Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. We're a little early, which means people will join us at 8 a.m. And some traders are still struggling to find where the trading room is and how to join it. I really don't know how to help them. So if you can help them, go on YouTube and look at the comments and then probably help them. By the way, you guys should go to YouTube and rewatch the videos. Even if you were live, rewatch those videos. There are a lot of things you're missing. Trust me, you would learn a lot if you rewatch it. That's one. The second thing is, please make a comment. Let others know what you think about the room. If you're here and you like it, we post the rooms, right? So we post the London session, we post the New York session. This one will be out later today. Please go, let others know what you think about it, and whether you find it interesting. I would like to know your opinion as well, right? So please go there, watch it, like it, share it to other people, and let's go. So. Okay, we have 4 minutes. So in the 4 minutes, I'll answer the question that is here. One trader asked a question. Can full-time traders still find trading profitable? And do they have to consider cutting down on their working hours, I guess, right? On their job. I was explaining to them that literally, no, you don't have to do either of that. And being successful has nothing to do with you working. Right? Being successful has to do with how good a trader you are, how much experience you have, what analysis you're using, what's your trade management rules, what are your strategies you're using. When all of that combines and you have the ability to manage risk properly and you actually stick to it, you implement those rules properly, you become successful. And the only difference in working and not working is what time frame you trade. If you're working, trade 4 hour daily. If you're not working, trade the 1 hour. So we have full-time traders, we're successful, and then they go, they break the rule, they start losing money, and then you have to bring them back and pull them in and say, hey, don't do that. You're doing good so far. Follow the rules, don't break the rules. Because as soon as they get successful, that's a normal human thing. We test the waters, right? You want to go a little deeper, you want to change things up, and then you find that, you get into problem. So you go back to the original thing and then you start making money again. The good thing about this room is that we have so much successful traders who will help you along the way, right? And I do a lot of one-on-one with them to say, well, hey, okay, good. You were doing good. What happened now? Let's come back, do this. I would put them on like very strict things that, follow these rules, do this, you should do this. There are traders who we have to tell to stop trading. There are traders who we have to tell to trade more. Like literally go click all the trades, but use it on really, really small, testing like 1 micro so that you get used to trading back again, because psychologically that trader is a broken trader. And a group trading, that is what a group does to you. It really helps you. Trading by yourself is dangerous, right? There's a good reason why, all big CEOs has advisors. They have advisors, and even the president, or, it doesn't matter if you're a genius, you have somebody looking at the work you do, right? Even the geniuses in the world, they would send their work when they prepare a paper, they would have people check it to make sure that they're actually on the right track and they're doing the right thing, right? They're not strayed away from doing the wrong thing and then, publish that paper. Those papers are checked before they publish. So if you think you're a genius and you're the smartest person, you want to do it alone, you can do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying trading with a group is great. Can you do one group trade in crypto this week? One group trade. You mean if I can show you a trade setup in cryptos? If there is a setup, we don't do trades here. That's a difference. We don't do trades for the purpose of doing trade. We look at the charts. You're here, you will see, we analyze the charts. We see if there's a setup to trade. If we think we like that setup, if we think we know where that chart is, where that move is going to go next, and there is risk to reward, and if we take the trade. If there isn't, then we're not taking any trade, not because we are here to take trades. You've been here, you see a stock trade, you see a stock trade in Euro, you see a stock trade in Swiss, you see a stock trade in EuroCAD, all are profitable trades. We're going to go through them again. So in exactly 1 minute, I'll start. Let me see what other interesting questions going. Please don't forget to cover those flags, the running one. Oh, running flats. No, I think mostly not flags, you're talking about running flats. Here is a running flag, if this is going to be a flag, right? So we saw this the morning, and the idea was we were looking for a sell. But we didn't get the up move here. So we decided we're not taking the trade. Wait for it to go down, no problem. As soon as it makes an up move like that, we're going to put an entry here because that becomes a running flag. A running flat is the same thing, except it's a bigger version of that. So right now we had the buy yesterday, which was in this correction. That buy should have gone lower if I was in the trading room, which means it should have come here. But it doesn't matter. Once it tagged you and it stays here for so much hours, you close the trade. By rule, we close that trade. All three are break-even trades. And this one, this drop here with this, if this pulls back to this level here, we will put an entry for a sell, assuming that that's a running flat for downside. If it goes higher, There's a second pattern we'll come back to, is whether we think this here is a running flat for upside. I'm inclined to believe the downside is the one. So we're going to go with the downside one. Let me explain the principle again for those who will be watching this video. I think this is the most important part you're going to get, the principle of trading, the principle of what we do. We keep it simple. I explained it this morning to the traders, but we didn't record it. There was a very nice conversation this morning that didn't get recorded. We have trades that are moving right now. We should be in the trading room, but let me see. I think the Swiss is already moving downwards. Swiss. Okay, it's not a trade as yet. It's going down, but it's not a trade. It needs to go back up before we get the trade. So don't jump into this one here. This trade should close for break even. You should close the trade. When you close the trade for break even, we would normally put an entry under this low if you were in the trade. In this case, you don't necessarily have to put that entry. If you put it, it's great, but you don't have to put it. It's quite a distance away. We would look for a better entry, right? So we'll come back to that trade. Don't chase it. So let me explain this. This is going to be more important for those who are new in the room and what you can learn. It's a concept we're looking at, and the concept is very basic. The concept says nothing moves in a straight line, which means you will find move going up and down, up and down, up and down. The sharp moves are the one that goes in the direction that you want to get. So what you're looking for is what happens in here, what happens in here, and what happens in there is what we call patterns. We go back, we study thousands of them, and then we come back and we said, okay, if we recognize this pattern and we understand what it's doing in here and how it's behaving and what type of pattern like that, how did that behave in the past? Did it drop? Did it continue to go sideways, or did it go up? And if we believe that, well, it was coming from here and it has to go up because that's what it did in the past, the last 100 times out of 110, then we would look for a trade setup to go here. We don't immediately click and say, oh, buy now. We said, okay, show us a setup that says it can go. Give us the confirmation that it can go. And the confirmation is going on a lower time frame, finding an impulse and a flag and take the trade. Very simple. Once in a while, it will not behave like that. And like I said, that might be about 10% of it. So you're playing with the statistics of 90% on your side. That's a great trading statistics. Right? And if you do it correctly and you're pretty good with the analysis, you're going to get good trades. Steady week, you're going to see. I mean, Monday was very good day. I don't think anybody looked at Monday trading and said that was bad trading, right? So let's start the recording. I think we're recording on it. So I'm going to go through I'm going to go through the trades that we are looking at, and then I'm going to go through the rest of it just like we normally do. Silver, remember we did this morning already. We're looking at this pattern. We have divergence in the 1 hour, which means that momentum is dying out, and there's a chance that it can do two things. They can go for a deeper correction, or they can totally reverse. And this is what we're looking for. When we think that this could drop and come and retest the low, we wait for a setup. And a setup is this. You got an impulse. It looks like it's making a flag here. That's a trade setup for me. Now, would that trade go? I don't care. You don't have to worry with doing the trading. We know that 90% of them will go. So if this one doesn't go, what is going to do? It's literally going to go back up. Do we have a buy setup? No, not in this place. We don't have a buy setup. Stick around. I'll show you when we get a buy setup. And as soon as we get a buy setup, we'll take the trade. So if you keep coming, you will see that, or watch the videos. If you can't come, watch the videos on YouTube. You will see when we do it and how we do it. So basically, it's a sell setup. We will take this off. I left that there this morning so that I can show you that we're not, we're being, the way we do it, we're very transparent in what we do. We take off that, and this becomes a sell setup. See, from a buy, which was a buy success. So this was a profitable buy. That was a break-even buy. This was the second break-even buy. Now we're going into sell. That's what wave analysis is about. So that will be a sell. Euro, it's still a buy. Actually, we're in the euro buy, a second euro buy. So the first euro buy, I'm not counting the ones before you guys join. I'm telling you when you join. The first one is a profitable one. That one will get closed here yesterday. Remember what I told you? Where and how we're going to close it. The entry goes above the top. If it tagged you here, you close it again. You put the entry above the top. And this one is going. So this morning, we put a new entry there, and that entry is already active. Those who were with me this morning, you're already in that second trade going up, right? Pound. We also have a new entry on top of the pound. Same thing. You remember this one you closed here. You put an entry here, you closed it here, you put an entry there. Now, if this goes, we stay with the trade. If it consolidates here, we'll close it, put an entry above the top. Why? That's called trade management. That will prevent you from getting in trades that are going the opposite direction. So this is still a buy, it's still active. There is a very, very high probability. You realize I have this in purple because the high risk trade. What makes that a high risk trade? This and this. Once we see those two, this was a buy, that was a high risk trade. This is also a high risk trade. So if you're a new trader, you would never take a trade like this, because the possibility is it will do this, and then it will do this, and then probably do that, and then do this, and then go. Not like you haven't seen that in the pound as yet. You've seen that the pound done that many times. You just didn't understand what it was doing, and you don't know how to look at it. Well, now I'm showing you how to look at it. So it's a good trade, it's a valid trade, it's a high risk trade. My traders, the successful traders, the traders who are more experienced will take this trade because they know they can manage it even if I'm not in the trading room with them. The newer traders, the traders who don't have that much experience and are not successful, will not take this trade. They will take the euro and they'll wait for me to be with them when we are taking this trade so I can help them manage it. Very simple. See? It comes down to that simplicity. Let's go. Aussie. Remember, we closed the Aussie here and we close it again and we put it above the top for a very good reason. It's called trade management again. The reason is we think that at some point this thing can come down. We do have divergence in the 1 hour. And we're thinking, well, if you have divergence, momentum is dying. Now you're either going to get a deeper correction and then you're going to continue to go, or you could literally drop through the bottom. So if you're an aggressive trader, I don't know, if you're in the trading room at that point in time also, you probably could have taken this trade, which you would close or break even. You can put an entry here. There's a sell setup there now. Remember, it's coming down really slow. And it could also be a correction. So take this off. Not that the buy is not valid, is that we're not taking that buy. If we're going to take a buy now, it's going to be at a lower point. I would allow this to drop. And if it just breaks this low and start to go back up, we'll have a buy here. Now, if you ask me, I think it's going to break the low and go back up. I would be looking at all of this as a running flat. So is that a sell setup? It is if you trade in the lower time frame. If you trade in the 15 minutes and you're an aggressive trader, that's a good sell setup. Answering the question that somebody, actually, you could even put it here. That's a good sell setup if you trade in the 15 minutes and you're a very aggressive trader. It is not a good trade if you're a new trader and you're not good enough at trading this, right? So what you would look for is that this could likely break down to this level and go right back up like that. Once it breaks this level, we're going to put an end shorter here. I can't put the end shorter now, but that is where we will put the end shorter, just above this top here. Once this breakdown, if you want to keep your end shorter above the top, you can keep it, but it's too far away. The risk to reward is not good. Your stop will have to be here, and then all they might do is break this stop for 20 pips. So you're risking too much for that. But if you take the trade from here and you put a stop here or you put a stop here, by the time it breaks the top, you already have 1-to-1. And then you can manage that trade. You can get out for break even easily. So remember that part, because when we come into London, in the New York session, if it drops here, we will put that in shorter for the buy. What if it breaks out to the top? Well, you will have to put it in shorter to take it. My traders could do that without me. So right now, there's a good chance for a downside. That will become a sell setup. We'll put this sell as a short-term sell. So probably a risky sell, and a risky sell is, I think, the orange. I'll put the orange as a risky sell because you have to have the ability to get out of that if it doesn't go. And let's go. New Zealand. You can put a sell here as well. This one also is a risky sell because there's a good chance that it's going to drop just one. This, we don't have divergence on the 1 hour. No divergence in the 1 hour, which is telling me that they could drop one drop here, just about one drop, and go right back up, making this a running flat. See that possibility? Now, that's a possibility. That's not what it's going to do. And the good thing about knowledge is that the more possibilities you know, the better it is for you to manage trades, right? The more you know which color of light you should know to cross the road, the better you are at going. It doesn't mean if it's red and there's no car, you wouldn't cross the road. I think all of us have crossed the road at some point in our life on the red light. But we looked right, we looked left, there was no car, you walk across the road. And when I do it, if I'm with my son, I tell him, you never do that. Wait until you get the green light, right? Pretty much the same thing. This is a risky trade. It's a good sell. You can take it. You need to know how to manage it, right? The chances are, if they're going to drop very much like Aussie and I think probably silver, it could literally drop deep. I don't think it will drop deep, but it could. And if it's going to drop deep, you can take it. But if it doesn't drop deep, you have to have the capability to manage this trade here, get the hell out of it, and we'll be in the buy. See? So we know of those two possibilities. And you're trading based on that knowledge. How would I manage the trade when this happened? If and when the first one happened, what would I do? If and when the second option happened, what would I do? That's the power of knowledge, knowing what to do and when to do it. Right? So let's go. I'll answer your questions after, right? So this one, we closed for break even here. Yesterday, remember when it go here and it was pulling back, I said you take the break even of this trade and you had a lot of time to take break even. It's dropping. We still want the sell. I can't put a sell here because you can put it, I wouldn't say I can't. You can put a sell here, but you have to put a stop here. Because there's a very good chance that this, you see it does this and it comes here, it's gonna come tag you here and go right back up to the top, make a running flat and then come down. So you can't put a stop here. Again, if you know of that possibility, you would have to, when you put on your trade, you will have to put that possibility in perspective that if it happens, then I don't want it to stop me out and then drop again, right? Because it will drop again. I'm looking at this as a 1, 2, 3. If I'm right about that, and this is not some kind of a contracting flat, then this is going to go right back up here. And then it's going to drop. So if I get tagged here, I have to keep my stop way at the top here. Way at the top here. Do I want to keep a stop at the top? Do I think there's a big drop in this that is worth keeping a stop, that risking that much for it to come here? I don't think there's such a big stop. And I do believe they're going to make a deep correction very soon. So for me, that sell is a high risk trade that's not worth taking. The way I'll sell this is if it goes back up. If it goes back up to the top there and make a flag here, I'll take this trade to the downside. Now that's a good trade. That's a good risk to reward trade. Or if this one here at some point makes a flag, break this low, makes a flag, I'll take this flag because now I'll enter here and I'll put a stop here. I don't have to put a stop there. And this will give me at least 1-to-1. So that is a good trade. Now, all of this explanation is actually for the YouTube traders, right? It's not for my traders. They know all of that stuff. So basically, that is how you would trade this, which means we're going to take this out and wait for a flag. That's a break-even trade. This one, you got profit. The second one, you got the second one here, you took a break-even. And now you're waiting for another setup. Let's see which one we get. CAD. By the way, I'll take this off now. I know we will wait. I'll put it in pink. Pink means we're waiting for a setup. It's not there. When we get the setup, we will take the sell. It's still a sell. CAD. You close the trade and you put an entry under the low here. Right? You close that trade and you put an entry under the low here. We actually closed it this morning in the trading room for positive, and you probably could have closed it for positive anytime you want, because you would close it in here, not when it's coming down. And now that sell is a good one. If it dropped, we'll take the trade. The next thing you would start to look at is that it's making a channel here. See this? It's starting to make what we call channel, which means they're moving in slow moves up and down. Now, we don't know for sure how that channel is going to behave, but you would have to be careful when you're at the bottom of the channels. When they go back up, they drop, they go back up, they drop. This could go back up here. If it goes back up without tagging it perfect, it could drop again. And if you start to get that, it's likely going to go back up. Or this is a running flat and it's dropping. I don't see it as a running flat. I think mostly it's a channel, right? The two structurally are the same, but they behave different. We'll still put the sell here and we'll manage it. So if it tags us and it started to pull back, we'll take out the trade. Right? If it tags and it drops through the bottom and keep going, good. Do we have more downside here? We do. You see the divergence here already in the 1 hour? That's a warning sign that at some point this could just drop here, come back all the way to the top, maybe even make a bigger correction and then go down. Right? So this piece would be one, this makes a bigger correction and then drop. You're aware of that? Now, if you're taking the trade, you know how to manage the trade when you're aware of it. Right? When that happens and you're so aware of it, you know what to do. Right? Euro news in 15 minutes. We wouldn't trade the news in this room. Ben will trade we'll trade that in our trading room. We're not going to trade any news in here. A little too risky for that, right? They don't know the rules. They don't understand how we get in and get out, and that would be dangerous for them. So sorry about that news. You guys know what to do. Look at the euro pairs and set your trade up. I can probably give you a hint when we come back afterwards. Put the euro buy. Let's go. Yen, definitely we want to sell. There's a good chance this is not the one that drops, right? We already have a perfect flat here. We can make an assumption that that is all the correction there. Or we can make an assumption that they come back to this level, go back up, and then drop. Right? That could be a possibility. You keep the entry order here. That's why we didn't put it. We saw this morning, but we didn't put it there for that purpose, that it could come here and go back up and then drop. In that case, you don't want to be in this trade. You want it from the bottom here. So we'll leave with the entry where it is, and it's a sell. If this goes back up, by the way, if it goes back up to the top here, we'll take a sell from the top coming down. We'll look at this as the flat. We'll wait for it to go there, and then we'll take a sell from there, come back. Once it comes down to this level, we'll try to get profit out of it because there's a chance it could go back up, make this one, and then drop. See? So that is what you call complex patterns. If one of those complex patterns is going to happen, you must know that it's going to happen so you know how to manage the trade when you're tagged in it. You're in New Zealand? Perfect. This is the aggressive trade from yesterday. Actually, this morning, we wanted to put it on, but I said I'll wait until we come into this room to put it on, and I'm a little late. But if you put that trade on, you did well because there's a nice flag there, right? But this trade you should have kept. This trade went to break even. So this was an aggressive trade yesterday. You were in here where I explained all the details of why you definitely want to buy Euro New Zealand. I couldn't have been more aggressive in telling you this is a trade you want to get because the possibilities it can go all the way to the top there, and we'll try to keep it if it moves really fast, right? I'm pretty sure my traders are in that one because we've been tracking this for a while. Now, this is a very good trade and it's going. Thinking about understanding how patterns work, right? So this thing is dropping. Remember when we were here and it's dropping, I explained that to you, should have been here. This is gonna drop to somewhere around here and then it's gonna go back up. Now, when I see this coming down here, I didn't say it's gonna drop to the bottom. I said that's very unlikely. And even if it's gonna drop, we're not gonna sell it. You know, we're not gonna sell it here. We didn't take that sell. We wait for it to make a flag, prove one more drop. And for me, that would be one more small drop, not a big drop to the downside. So what we're looking at is that it is supposed to go back up and it's going back up. This is how waves work. You study all the patterns, you know, and then you come back and say, if this pattern is what we think we've seen in the past, this is how it should behave. That's trading, that's all. Once you get that right, you look for a setup. We got an aggressive entry yesterday. I told you it's an aggressive entry because it wasn't fully completed, but it could go, it's smaller. It will be a small 5-minute flag or something like that. You take the entry, you go, it comes here. This would be a second entry. I'm not putting it because those who were in the room this morning should put it, but I didn't put it on. So I was waiting for this room here to put it on. I'm a bit late with that. Sorry about that. But if you put it on, well done. Put it to break even and let's see if it goes. So if you have this second trade on here, put it to break even and let's see if that goes. If not, wait for this to make another flag and then we'll take the trade again, right? Very simple. You see the flag, you know the direction it's going, take the trade. EuroCAD, that was a buy from yesterday. We closed that buy and we have another. This entry actually went in this morning, right? This one went in this morning session. That's a buy from this morning session. You can put that to break even and wait because there's a chance. Those who were in this morning, remember I said there's a chance that it can pull back here and then go making this here, right? So what you would do is you would keep your stop here or keep your stop under this one. Keep your stop under this one. And if this pulls back like this, you're going to watch for two things. Either it goes, that's the running flat, perfect, we'll stay with that trade. And if it starts to consolidate, there you close the trade, put an entry above the top. And we'll probably look for a sell setup. See? Right now it's perfect. The trade is going, it can still go. I don't know where it will start to consult, but it's still going. So when it breaks, when it comes to this stop, that's when I'm going to be careful because I'm looking at this and thinking, well, if this is the low, if this is the absolute low, this could just keep going. If we're making a bigger pattern here, then we'll come to this level, we'll come back here, we'll go back up there, and then we'll drop. Those are the two ways it can behave. This is a bigger pattern, great. If not, this is the start of the upside. We'll see which one, right? We're in a trade and it's going very good. When it gets to that top, we'll see which one it is. You don't have to know that right now. Euro yen. Here we'd have to be very, very careful. We pulled the sell, we took off the sell because it broke the top, we're making a running flat. I explained this yesterday. If they break the top, we're expecting a running flat. I expect this to come back here and continue to go back up. And then from that point, we will either drop or we'll go up. But it needs to come back and break this top. So right now, we will look for a sell setup, but we look for a sell setup somewhere here to get this trade. This is what we're looking for, that sell setup to get this trade. And when that happens, and it comes here, we'll be careful. Now, can that actually drop to the bottom of that one? The answer is yes. If you think there's a contracting flat in here. We don't forecast contracting flat, so we don't look at that possibility until it happens. We'll be in the sell. So if we're wrong and there's a contracting flat, we'll keep dropping, good for us because we're in the sell. We are aware of that possibility, but we don't forecast them. It's dangerous. So I took off the euro-yen trade. Euro-pound, you're in this trade this morning. I think we put this on this morning because we were inside the trade here. This was the first one. This was the entry. You close that entry at the top here. You should close it. That's a positive trade, but it's break even, we call them. And then you put the entry above the top, which would be here. And you're in that trade going up. You can put the stop to that trade right here. Because I don't think we're making a running flat. I don't think they're going to pull back here and then go for this running flat. I think they'll just continue to go. But if it's doing that, then that's what you want. We're looking at this bigger picture here. Right, this big running flat. This is a bigger running flat. Somebody was asking about running flat. This is a bigger running flat, and it should come and break this stop. All you have to do now is manage the trade not to take a loss. Get it to break even minimum. And then you're safe. You're in a good trade that is going. See how easy it is? So you see, right? This is the detailed analysis I'm showing you, what we do and how we do and how the trades work. And we do this updates. These updates are 5 times a day. So you can't go wrong. Pangos, take it off. We took off the trade. It is here, but we take it off. And there's a reason to take it off because this looks pretty much like a huge correction in here. And that means this one will climb up to the top here, but then it is going to come back down here. And there's a good chance it could go back up and it could come back down, right? Because if this one comes down, we'll be looking at this, or we'll be looking at this one, and then you might get 1, 2, 3. So you could get a 1, 2, 3 here, and then you could go back up and come back down, get a flat here, and then go. That's one option. The second option is, well, this is some kind of a weird contracting flat. It goes above here. It makes a flag here, and we start buying. If you stay around for the entire week, with my experience, I think we're going to come back, retest this low, and then go. So this would do all that I said it's going to do, come test this low, and then go. Because I'm thinking this is the corrective part. And all of you remember the punk card, right? My traders would do. Remember the punk card. We look for the most corrective part, and we start the count from there. We have this, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. Right? So let's go. Pang Yen. It is still a sell. The question is, should we sell it from this point? Or can we get a little more aggressive and sell it from this point? Here. Yeah, this looks like a nice little flag here for me. Is this the drop to come back and break the low? Or will this just break the low here and then go back up? Both of those are possible. So if we put this entry here, the only thing you have to do is manage that trade so it's not a loss. Your stop should be above here, right? We're not putting the stop here because the chances are they could come here really quick, go back, break the top, and then drop. If it happens quick, you don't want it to take you out here. If it is going to go break this stop, then when it gets to this stop, it will start to consolidate and will take off the trade. You're not going to live with that stop. You're going to take the trade off somewhere here for a much smaller loss. But if it drops, you don't want to miss it. The probability of this dropping is really, really, really high. So we moved it up there. We have a better risk to reward trade now. We'll go with that. Punkad, very aggressive sell, take it off. But when we put it on this morning, those who want, remember I said, if it goes higher, if it comes back to this stop, we take it off, right? It wasn't there this morning when we put the trade on. Now that it's gone back there, take it off. We're still looking for a sell here, but not as yet. I'm expecting this to come back, most likely like this, and then go back up. Looking for a running flat here, but we don't have a sell setup right now, so we'll wait. Aussie Yen. It was a sell here this morning, a very aggressive sell. You'd see that aggressive sell there. You probably could close it and put the end shorter under the low here if you want. If you got tagged by this, no problem. Wait for it to come back down, close the trade, close both trades. So what you're going to do now is, if this, you're going to put the entry here. If this drops to the bottom, you stay with it. If it tags you like this, close it. Because then you're going to go back up one more, right? So it's a very aggressive trade. This one, you close for positive, I'll take it off. That's a positive trade. And let's say the second one, you're putting the entry under the low. If it tags you and start to pull back like this, close it. If you have to take 5 pips loss or so, close it. The idea is we're hoping that this drops through the bottom here, come to this level. But if it's going to tag you like this, then what it's going to do is make a new high and then maybe drop. We might even get a buy setup. We don't have a buy setup right now. And Aussie CAD. We have a buy setup on the Aussie CAD there. It's breaking out, put it in the 15. You'll see that it's above the top. I don't think you're tagged in it. It's just that I probably put it too close because it was already at the bottom. But if you got tagged in it, don't worry, keep a stop here. Literally keep a stop there. If this doesn't go through right now, it comes back one more, we'll close it and put the entry above again. So the entry is above the top there. You can actually put on that trade now. We're looking for that trade. If it goes, it should break this stop. So you take off this one. That was the entry we had when we thought this was making a flag here. It came deeper. The entry should be here now. There's a good chance that can go up. You might want to look at this as a running flat for the upside of this one. I like it. So we'll keep it and we'll see what happens to that. New Zealand CAD. If you got tagged on this one, let's see in the 1 hour where we are. You're only 2 hours. So don't worry very much. This one stops here. If it goes back up there, close the trade, but take off the entry because this came back to the low. So right now, what you're working on is this going back up and close that entry. It's no longer valid because once you come back to the low here, right? And actually, if it went to the low first, then go back, you close the trade. So let's see which one happens first. No, it actually, yeah, you went to the low first. No, you went up, then you go to the low. So you're not worried about that. This goes back up to the top here, take off this trade, wait for this to go, make a flag, and then we buy. Right? So this would not be a trade here. Why is the entry above the top and not at the break up? A break up Aussie CAD. Why is the entry above the top and not the break? You mean like why it's not here? If you had it there, you close it. So if you had an entry, by our rule, if you had an entry here, you have to close it here and put an entry above the top. That's a rule. If you stick around, you'll understand why that rule is so good. Right, so let's go. I got where your entry is, so not a bad one, but if that happens, you close the trade and you re-enter. In this case, you will close this trade and re-enter because it came back to the low. So you will take break even here and then you re-enter in that trade. Even if it keeps going. Well, I mean, if it shoots up straight in one sharp move, of course you keep it. But if it comes here and it starts to slow down, like at any point here, close the trade. We don't have an entry in this one. This is the low. You have to wait for a flag, right? So this would be a slightly different trade. New Zealand yen. Okay, so we were looking this for a possible sell setup in the making. We wanted to go back up first because this move down here looks really, really slow. So we wanted to come back somewhere here, go back up there, make a running flat, and then we're going to put an entry here for this drop. So if it goes back up, we will do that. You wanted to go back up. It's going back up now. This is starting to go. So we wanted to go back above all these stops, come back to this level, make a thing, and then we will look for that sell to the downside. Right, because that would be a good sell if it's going to drop. New Zealand yen, it probably is a running flat. I look at it as a running flat, right? Because we have this, we have that. What if this is, I don't know, what if that is the top of the move and the running flat is somewhere else? Let's say, for example, this is the running flat. That's the top. Well, you definitely want that trade. So we will take the trade, but we'll monitor it once it's coming down because it could stop here and go back up. But that's a good, very good trade. So wait for it to go back up and then we'll look for the sell setup. CAD, we're keeping the sell here because we haven't broken this top. If we haven't broken that top, the sell stays here. This could be a flat that goes back up. This here could be a flat that goes back up, break this top, and then we will look for a sell from the top going down. Otherwise, so that you keep the sell here, right? We'll see what happens to that. And let's go. Swiss yen. There is a buy setup here forming. This is mostly because of the dollar Swiss. But the question is, if you take that trade, what could happen to it? So let's go into 1 hour and see what we have. In the 1 hour, we have divergence in play. I mean, huge divergence. You can see this, right? That means momentum is dying out. We have these sharp moves here that this one and this one that doesn't really have anything. So even if they break the top, the chances are they can pull back really fast. It's a good setup, but it's a risky trade. So if you're going to take it for a buy, it's a pretty risky trade. The sell we took off because the sell is not valid. The sell was here, it's not valid. The sell was here, it's not valid. This is making a new high. I'd rather sell the I don't know, let's sell the Swiss dollar because this is a Swiss movement rather than buy this. It is a setup again. I don't think it's going to go very far. So if you're taking the trade, you're taking the risk that might just break the top and come back down. If it goes farther, good luck. That's good for you. But because of the risk in it, I would skip it. Right? These are long-term trades. You want to keep them, you want to close them. It doesn't matter. It's going to come and go higher. These are very long-term trades. US 30, that's the buy. You should take it off for break even. Remember yesterday we put a buy here. You should close that trade here and put an entry above the top. That entry is still valid. This one here, you should close the trade, put the entry above the top. The entry is still valid as of now. This one here, you should close the trade. It tagged you for a lot of time here. Close the trade, put the entry above the top. That entry is no longer valid. I don't think that is valid. Matter of fact, as soon as this goes back up here, let's see in the 15 if we have that flag already. We're going to put a sell setup. Right? Remember, I told you I want this to go back up. You were here when it's going down, and I said we didn't sell it because for us to sell, we have to have a confirmation. The confirmation is this going back up. Give me a possible flat pattern, and then yes, we'll put a sell. So you can actually put that sell now. If it goes up higher, no problem. But if it starts to drop from now, this is a sell setup. So we'll put this one as a sell. If the others are coming down, we don't have a sell setup on them. We'll have to wait for them to come down. We'll have for them to make flags. This is not a sell setup. This is a buy setup. Right? It could go down, but it'll have to drop more, make a flag, and then we consider it a sell. So right now, it's not considered a sell. This trade was good. Yesterday, we took this. You close it here. Once you start to do that consolidation, you close the trade. You don't keep the trade done in hopes that it's going to go. You don't trade your hopes. Otherwise, you'll get big trouble. And the same thing here. Right? We took this one here. It started consolidate there. You close it. This is not a sell. This one could be a sell, but this impulse is a little too short. I like the impulse on this one. It's much longer. So if this actually drop, I don't know. We'll skip this and we'll take the Nasdaq. Right? That's a good sell. This one, the city impulse is much bigger. So if they go up, we'll get the buys on the other one. This one will take a while to get there. So by New York, we'll know if we're getting a buy setup. On the cryptos, we take them. Somebody was asking for me to show some selling the trade on the cryptos. We don't just take trade. We're looking for the setups. And like I said, put it to the top here because until it breaks the top, it's still in consolidation. See? All of this is still, it's coming back down. It's still consolidation. It could come and break this low again, but it's still consolidation for upside. You want the entry above the top. The same here. You want the entry above the top. Remember, we closed this yesterday and put the entry above the top. We were in the trade from here. I think we took the trade from here. It tagged us, it went up, it's come back. It does as I close the trade, put the entry above the top. If it comes back down, because it can come back down. That's the trade management. That even if you learn this thing, you're going to save yourself a ton of money, right? And this one, right? This one you should have closed there, because you're in the trade, or put it to break even, whichever you did. You put the break even, you got break even, put the entry above the top. You're not looking for the sell, you're looking for the buy. So you may say, well, it's still going to go. Why should you close it? Now, my question is, how do you know it's still going to go? How many trades you believe still going to go? And you kept them, and then it does this, and it does this, and then it does this. And before you realize it, you're under the low. And it's still going to go, right? Well, maybe if it's still going to go, I will get in here. That's a better deal for me. I'll take that profit. And if it just comes here and consolidates, I'll close it again. See, if you understand the risk, if you understand how these patterns behave and what it's going to do, then you will close that trade, because there's a very high probability that this is a 1, 2, 3, and this drops one more here before it goes back up. You want me to show you a trade like that? Here. We took this trade. We took that trade. Go back and watch my webinar. I told you to take that trade because that's a trade we call. 1, 2, 3. When it comes here, guess what happened? We moved the stop. We actually closed that trade at the top here. Go back and watch your webinar. Look what happened. You don't have to keep this one. You don't have to keep this one either. We had an entry above the top. Once it started to drop, we took out the entry. If this starts to drop, that entry comes up. We're not really selling. You can sell if you want, but we're not selling them. We're waiting for the lows to pick to get, because if there's going to be a big spike, it's going to be to the upside. If it's going to drop, let it drop. We'll buy it at the lowest possible point that we have set up to buy it. You get the setup, you take the trade. If it goes, congratulations. If it doesn't go, get a hell out of the trade. Your job is managing the trade. You manage the ones that don't go. The ones that go will make you money, right? So basically, that's it for the trades we are in. So now I'm going to go through the trades we didn't look at, but I'm going to go through really fast because either they have a setup or they don't have. Dollar index still downside, right? Still downside. This is still going pretty good. You can see it actually broke this and dropped. So at some point, be careful. It's going to start to pull back. We will get a buy setup very soon. See this? That's a warning sign that this could reverse, make a flag, and start to do this before it drops. It's going to be just a bigger correction, right? Gold. This buy we closed, we were in another buy we closed, and now it's making a deeper correction. I think this is just a correction for now. This piece still looks like a correction forming here, so it will probably drop and go back up. If we get that flat, we're gonna buy. So wait, we don't have any trade set up on gold. I'm not selling it here. Gold Oz, yeah, this could drop some more, leave it alone. It's not going up as yet. Let's go to Euro Swiss. So I want you to remember this from yesterday. If you haven't, then go back, watch the webinar, move it to this point. Remember exactly what I told you, why we are not selling this. Because it's gonna drop here and then go back up. You're looking at this flat, and then you're getting 1, 2, 3. When it comes here, we would look for a sell from the top here to go down. One more. Magic, right? Almost like magic. It's simple. This is a known pattern. This is a very common pattern that we know. So when you see them, you start recognizing what it's going to do. And then you said, okay, I'm not selling that. There's no reason to sell a trade that is high risk like that. It's going to come, go back up. Now you look for a sell setup. So now if we get a sell setup today, which means if this drop here today, make a flag here, we're all in for that trade. Can this be the up move? Can it actually stop at this point? This is just a flat. And this one literally go back up from this point? Yes, it can. If you look at the bigger picture, that could be the up move, right? This could be all you have. And that's a perfect running flat for upside. But I don't think it's starting the upside because the way this is going up is really slow. It looks very corrective. I believe we're going to get one more drop here. Like this here. See, one more drop and then go back up. So I think this one more drop here and then we go back up. You're here, right? If you stay till Friday, you'll see it. You already saw one part of the magic working. Perfect. So now we look for a sell setup. There's a good chance we get that sell setup today. All you need is 1 hour down, 3 hours sideways, and by 4 hours New York session, we could get a sell setup. Euros. Yeah, leave it alone. And still leave it alone. It's probably going up. This could be all day. This could be the loan we're going up, but we need a good flag here, not the small one. We need a better correction to trade it to the upside. If I miss the upside, no problem. This is a correction to the upside, right? If you get a flag here, we'll take this trade up there, and then we look for the sell. Euro yen. We just took this off, so just leave it for now. We don't have any trade set up. We're waiting for one. Pound Swiss. It's coming down, but again, I don't think this is the one that is going to drop. This one is it dropped. It didn't go back up. It's consolidating, but I have to be careful with. Leave the entry order here. If this actually drops through the bottom, that's a good trade. It will go. If it drops through the bottom, it's going to go one more, and then we're going to take profit. One more drop to about this level here, somewhere in this structure, the biggest structure. Right? You can fib it to know where it's going to go. Pull a fib like this. I don't know. Pull a fib like this. And look at the 270 and a little at the 618. Somewhere around this area, not necessarily anyone or somewhere here, it could come to and then go back up. So that's a good trade, actually. That's a good consolidation. Leave it where it is. We did all of this. Let's see. Pound New Zealand. It's going up. We don't have a buy set up as yet. We need a flag there to buy. We don't have the flag. If we get a flag, we'll buy. And you have to be careful. If you try to jump in this trade, it could drop again. All right, this would be a perfect flat here for downside. We don't have a sell setup either, so we can't sell it. Aussie Swiss. I think we had a trade in this we took off. I can't remember. I should probably, anyways, just leave it. We don't have anything right now. And it's coming down. It probably could come one more lower, but it's not a sell setup. It's not a good setup. We're at the bottom of this structure. You're looking for the upside, and we don't have any upside. Aussie, New Zealand, same thing. Leave this alone. It's probably going back up, but this thing moves like this. Moves like a tortoise. It's very, very, very slow. New Zealand, Swiss. Okay, this was the low. We were going up really nice. We didn't have, I think we were in one trade, we closed, and we didn't get tagged again in the trade. This was the top, it didn't tag. It started to come down, it came down yesterday. We're not selling this. There was a good sell, but I didn't sell it. It's in this structure, I wouldn't sell that. I let it come down, make a new low. We look for the buy again, right? Because that sell would not put you anywhere. And let's go cat Swiss. Okay, this didn't go up, but I think we could make an argument here for running flat with this one. Right, you could go with that as a running flat. So all this correction coming down here, actually go back with that as a running flat. Do we want to sell this here? Let's see what the bigger structure looks like. With divergence and play on the 1 hour. Not necessary. Wait for another flag because that is a small one. We do have divergence on the 1 hour, which means at some point this will pull back for a deeper correction. And if you take this sell here, you can be trapped in that one before they go back for a quite deeper correction and then drop. This would be some buy setups and then a sell. So we'll probably wait for it. Remember, you don't have to get all the trade setups if they don't fit perfectly what you're looking at, right? You can leave some because they're not that good, and that is okay. Swiss yen, we actually close this. It's a buy setup, we're not taking it. I wouldn't advise taking it. You can take it. I wouldn't take it. That's what I'm saying. Do we have a sell setup here? I think you have a sell setup. You can literally put an entry here. If you look at it as a small running flat, that could drop to the bottom. So this is a good sell setup. Put this in sell. And let's go. Natural gas. It went up, but you might not. You can actually take the buy now if you want as well, but there's a flag here now for a buy, but then be careful when you break that top. Right, because it can come back now from that point. US oil, nothing. It's not going anywhere. It's coming down. So do we sell this here? No, not as yet. Actually, it could come and break this low. So if you get a good flag here, I mean, if you get something like this here, we'll take that trade to come and break the low. Probably go back up, break the top, and then come down. But we'll take this. Right? Because if this is the one that's going to drop to the bottom, we want it. Wait for a flag. And same for the US UK oil. Right? We don't have a flag. So if it makes a flag then, but most likely I think we're making a running flat here. PayPal, it's going to go up some more. You can keep the trade. At some point you'll close it. It's going to go up there, give you break even, close the trade or keep it. I think the more upside is there. Tesla, you might get a buy setup. We broke the low, right? So if you get a buy setup here, it will make sense. Let's see in the 1 hour if we have any buy setup. We do. You can actually put an entry order here for a buy. During the New York session, that could go, right? Because we're at the low point. Amazon, nothing here. And all the rest we did. Let's see DAX, nothing. Stay away from this. We'll figure out what this piece is doing and then we'll take the trade. We don't have anything. Nifty, you do have a short-term sell setup here. I said short-term sell setup because this might just come to about this level and then go back up. So it's a very risky short-term trade. Those who trade Nifty, you know, you can do that, right? It will eventually break out, but they might go back up here first and then break down. One more down and then the upside. So you're going to get one more downside in the bigger picture. One more downside on this one. This should probably come here, go back there, drop here one more, and then start to look for the upside. That's a trade we're going to be looking for. Let's go. Bitcoin. I'm going to go through this really fast. It's still consolidating for upside, right? It's coming down right now. This is coming down, but it's still within this sideways move. See this? It's still here. So they can come here, but this still is upside. At least one more like this. One more like that. And then either is going to continue to go or it could make a new low for a flat. Right? We don't know which is going to be. So you try to get this buy, and then you can put the end shorter lower now. You can literally put the end shorter. Once this break the low, you can put the end shorter here. right? So remember what I was telling you yesterday, this could drop. If you're a short-term trader, that was a sell, right? This could drop. It could go right back up here, make this flat, and still drop again, right? And then take off. Continue this move here, and then take off. So probably keep the entry there for now. For safety, keep it there. If we get a setup for a buy here, we'll consider it. It has to break the low first, though. Break the low, then we'll look for a buy setup. ETH, same thing. Right, this is coming down. See, it broke out, but that doesn't mean anything. It's coming down. It's a sideways move. Leave it alone. XRP, no new different, nothing different, right? So same thing. This one break down, it's going to go a little lower, and then it's going to go back up. We'll look for the buy. I think these patterns are getting more complex. That's all. I will explain the complexity later. Right, same thing here. This is going to come down and then probably go back up. And we can just go through all of them like that. I think you're getting the message, right? That this is coming down here. We told you this is going to come down here. It's going to probably do this. It's going to go back up, do this, come down back here, and then go. See, so you have to have patience if you want to get the up move. We'll try to see if we can get one of the move from the bottom to the upside, put it at break even and see what happens. Same here and same here. You can go through all of them. Same here. This one broke the top. It could go back up, take it off a break even, right? So this is coming back to where your entry was. It comes back to your entry here like this. Close it for break even, put the entry above the top. There's a good chance this becomes a bigger running flat. It comes here and it drops like this. See this here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They probably come back to this level, drop here, and then go. That would be the buy. The entry will be above the top. We'll try to get a buy from this level. And length. It's going sideways, all of them going sideways. So this would probably come down to. This one would probably come down here, maybe come here, make it come here, and then go back up. This could be all, right? And then go back up. One like this, and then from that point, depending how deep this come into this pattern, it will either be a flat for one more down, or it could be a takeoff to the upside, right? Dot, same thing. I'm just gonna go through them. We can explain all of them, but this one we never said it's a buy. Be careful, this would be a sell. And this one here is a sell too also because it's pretty low. So it will go back up, but it will be a sell. This one would come here and then go back up there and make a new low because it's a flat. Right, so most of them might turn out to be flats. BNB, this is what? This one is going. So if you're in this one, you can now put it to break even. If you close it and you have an entry above the top, that's the right thing. But if you want, you can put it to break even now and leave it. This here, you can keep your entry above the top. You should keep it above the top. See, they make a new high there. It's literally going like this. So when it comes down one more here, come down to the bottom here, break it, they could take off. This is probably the best one so far. It's all the consolidations at the top there. That's good momentum for upside. This here, same thing. We close the trade, we put the entry above the top. We got tagged on this one, I think somewhere here. We closed it, we put the entry above the top, it's coming down. You saved yourself a lot of headache already, right? Now, is this going to drop totally to the downside? I don't know. We don't think so, but we'll leave it alone. You're not interested in the sell. This here, we closed it. We put the entry above the top. That's the right thing to do. And this, that is downside, and this is downside. Okay. This one also, we got tagged. We closed it. We put the entry above the top. So we got tagged here. I think it was this one. It came here, it went back, we closed the trade, put the entry above the top. Okay, it's coming down. This looks like it's going to be a more complex pattern. The whole thing, this whole thing here will be some kind of a complex corrective structure. Could it be that this is 1, 2, 3 and we're dropping? That is 1, 2, 3 and this is dropping. Possible also. Not interested in sell. Right, so we'll have to wait on that. So okay guys, I think you've seen pretty much what we do. I'll stop the recording. We don't want the recording to be too long.